Imagine this. The government tells you they're going to double your pay from $16,000 a week to $32,000. At first, it feels like freedom. More food in your trolley, less stress about school fees, maybe even a little extra left over. But fast forward a few months, the wholesale you work at starts laying off staff. The hotel your cousin works in cut shifts, and the call center in Kingston freezes hiring. Suddenly, that shiny promise turns into a heavy burden. Today I'm breaking down why the JLP's minimum wage promise might not be what it seems. We'll look at the numbers, the ripple effects on businesses, what it means for you, and whether this is really about improving lives or just winning an election. Right now, Jamaica's minimum wage is $16,000 for a 40-hour week. The JLP has promised to double it, $32,000 a week. On paper, it sounds like progress, but here's the problem. When wages double, costs double for the businesses that employ those workers. And in Jamaica, where many businesses already operate on razor-thin profit margins, doubling costs without doubling productivity is like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. It looks full at first, but it doesn't last. Let's break it down with real numbers. Picture a warehouse with 20 workers, all earning minimum wage. Right now, that warehouse pays $320,000 a week in wages. If wages double, that figure jumps to $640,000. That's an extra $320,000 every week. Over a month, that's well over $1 million in additional expenses. Now ask yourself, where does that money come from? Warehouses don't magically earn more just because the government says so. They can only do three things: raise their prices, cut their staff, or close their doors. It's just like a taxi man whose gas price suddenly doubles, but his passengers don't want to pay twice the fare. What are his choices? He raises his fares, he drives fewer routes, or he parks his car. That's the same position many Jamaican businesses will face under this promise. Now let's talk about hotels. Tourism employs tens of thousands of Jamaicans, many at or near minimum wage. Hotels already fight massive electricity bills, high import costs for food, and stiff competition from resorts in Mexico and the Dominican Republic. If wages double, hotels will raise room rates. But tourists are price sensitive. They compare. Why pay $250 per night in Jamaica when a similar package is only $200 in Punta Cana? That difference could cost Jamaica bookings, less foreign exchange, and most importantly, fewer jobs. The very workers this policy is meant to help may end up being sent home. Call centers are another example. They employ thousands of young Jamaicans. International clients choose Jamaica because labor costs are competitive. If those costs suddenly double, contracts could move to the Philippines, India, or other Latin American countries. That means fewer jobs here at home. And the first to suffer would be the young people who depend on call centers for steady employment. Back to the wholesale. Suppose they don't cut staff, but instead raise prices. That increase flows straight down the chain. The wholesale raises prices for the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper raises prices on the shelf. And when you walk in to buy rice, flour, or tin mackerel, you're the one paying more. So yes, you may earn more, but your grocery bill climbs right along with it. It's like running on a treadmill. You're moving, but you're not going anywhere. Now let's talk about MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises. They provide more than half of Jamaica's jobs, and most of them run on margins of just 5 to 10%. If their wage bill doubles, profits vanish. That means some will freeze hiring, some will scale down, and many will close altogether. And when MSMEs collapse, unemployment rises. So who really benefits? If you keep your job, yes, you'll see more money in your hand. But if your hours are cut or your employer closes, you may end up worse off. And those outside the formal wage system, farmers, vendors, hustlers, they won't see a pay raise, but they'll still face higher prices. In other words, the cost of living rises for everyone, not just the ones who got a raise. let's zoom out. Public companies will feel it too. Lower profits mean fewer dividends for pension funds. That affects retirees. Government collects fewer taxes when companies earn less. That weakens public services. And when businesses raise prices, inflation ticks up. That weakens the Jamaican dollar. Imports become more expensive. And once again, the poor feel it the hardest. So, why make this promise? Because it's popular. Who doesn't want their pay to double? It's the perfect campaign line. But notice the wording. Over the next few years. That gives wiggle room. If the economy slows, they can delay. If businesses collapse, they can shift the blame. The important part is that the promise has already done its job. It won votes. It's like being handed a shiny gift box. The ribbon is beautiful. The wrapping paper looks expensive. But when you open it, the box is empty. That's the risk of this promise. This is why the private sector is pushing back. They're not just being greedy. They're being realistic. They say, you cannot double wages without improving productivity. It's like paying 2 workers to dig 1 yam hole. Twice the cost, same yam. No farm and no business can survive that math. So what's the alternative? A gradual increase phased in carefully, tied to productivity and inflation. Government support for small businesses to handle the transition. Tax breaks, subsidies, or targeted relief. That way, workers can earn more without destroying the very businesses that employ them. Doubling the minimum wage sounds like a blessing, but without careful planning, it could be a curse. More money on paper doesn't mean more food on the table. If prices skyrocket, businesses fold, and jobs vanish. So the real question is this. Is this promise truly about uplifting Jamaicans? Or is it simply about winning an election? Because one thing is certain, a promise that destroys jobs and raises prices is no promise at all. And Jamaica deserves better. Thanks for watching. If you got any value from this breakdown, please give the video a like. It really helps. And don't forget to subscribe for the latest madness that I'll be here to explain, one story at a time.